Alright, so today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to I'm going to videotape something that I'm not super excited about. So today we're going to do something that we've never done before. We're going to go do a sit out. And we've done sit outs one other time. What a sit out is when you actually take somebody's belongings out of a property and you set it to the curb. For the most part, we've had to file very few evictions, and the evictions that we have had, we've been able to work out with people. The one time that we have done a sit out previous to this, the person had already vacated, and so we just had to, they left stuff in the house, and so we had to go through the sit out process to make sure that we crossed our T's and dotted our I's. Today, on the other hand, though, the person still lives in the house, and they don't want to leave. And that's not exciting. So today I'm going to videotape what all we go through, how things work. We're about to go drive out to the property, meet our hands. So we're going to have a total of 6 people doing this. This one is going to be located in Whitfield County. So we've already we went and filed the eviction. On this particular one, we gave a 60-day notice. That's not necessarily what you have to do. Oftentimes, you just have to give whatever your lease says. For us, if you haven't paid by the 5th, we go and give you a 3-day notice to pay or quit. And if you have not complied by then we go and file an eviction on owner before the 10th. This one we bought with the tenant installed, and it was from a tired landlord, and he said, I'm just tired, and I can't go through the process of kicking them out. So we bought the property. We came over and tried to work with the gentleman, and the tenant made it clear that no, they think they're in charge, and so we had to go through this whole process. So we gave them a 60-day notice. Then when that happened and they hadn't moved in 60 days, we went ahead and filed for eviction on the very last day. So they have 7 days once papers have been served to them in Georgia. And on the very last day, the tenant walked into the magistrate office at like 4:50 something. They close at 5 and said, "I want to see a judge." We went to court the next day, and the tenant did not show up. They awarded us the writ of possession. So we had the writ of possession. The next step was we had to contact the constable. What the constable does is the constable comes out and maintains peace while we remove the personal property from the house. And so we're on our way right now to go and meet with the constable. They told us that they would stay with us for about an hour, which means we need to have the house completely cleaned out within an hour to make sure that we have somebody there to maintain the peace. So we're going to head that way. I'm leaving the office right now, and we'll pick up here in a little bit. All right, so we just met with the team, had a powwow, had prayer. We're about to head to the property. We haven't seen the constable go by yet, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 people with us and a family member of the tenant. So let's go see what happens. All right, so right now the constable is over there serving the paperwork and letting the tenant know that they're about to have to vacate the property. We've been advised to stay off the property until that happens. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so we just finished up getting everything out on our first set out. This is what the trailers look like. We got stuff to Kingdom Come. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take all this stuff, leave it on the trailer, and we're gonna get the set man down here working. There's the constable's car. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take it, set it off the property down that way, and the tenant will have 24 hours to be able to come and get what they want, and then if they don't, then we'll dispose of it. And I gotta say, this is not a fun experience. So the tenant was here the entire time. They weren't happy. He almost took a swing at me, and but the constable did a great job. He kept the peace. He made sure that everything was taken care of, and so it is what it is. We got the job done. when we get through with this, I'll do a little bit of a learning lesson, what I learned out of this when we get through. But the first thing I learned was be professional, have lots of help, lots of trash bags. The constable told us that we had an hour and a half. We've been here for 2.5 hours now, and I think he knew it was going to take that long. He just told us an hour and a half. So it took us 2.5 hours to get everything out. And so it was a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it was a bunch of stuff. So anyway, we'll have a powwow with the people that were involved, let you know what they thought about it, how they felt about it, and what we learned out of it. All right, so we got through over there. I'm sweating like crazy. We're actually going to drive over to a restaurant and debrief with the team, and we'll do a video after that. But it went well. The constable was really, really good to us, and just appreciated him a whole lot. And anyway, we'll talk more here in a bit. So we just got through doing our first set out where we had somebody that remained in the property. And so we actually got together and went ahead and had lunch. That way we could kind of do a debrief. And I didn't want y'all to just get my interpretation of what all happened. I wanted to get y'all to see the team. So Lucas, Mary Beth. Lucas, this is your first time being a part of this, period. But what kinds of things did we learn in this process?
It was a little bit nerve-wracking in the beginning.
Why was it nerve-wracking?
We had constables, and the actual tenant was sitting right there.
What was the constable's purpose in being there?
To control him, and really like to, was it to help us along?
And he was there to remove the tenant peacefully.
Another way to say it is to keep the peace. So controlling the tenant is a good way to say it, but if a landlord was to get out of order, the constable would step in and make sure that's happening. So they don't want the landlord going and being disrespectful to the things that they're going to be taking out. They don't want them being abusive to the tenant, but by the same token, they don't want the tenant being abusive to us as well. All right, what else did we learn?
Well, we needed labor, and we was able to contact another investment firm, and we all came together for this project, and we worked together. Well, we worked together. Great teamwork on this.
That was really cool, by the way. So the other investment firm, Mike Hicks, lent us two of his guys. So we thought we were going to have some labor today. It turns out it went by the wayside. And at the last minute, we put out a text message saying, dude, we need help. And Mike stepped up and said, hey, man, you can have my guys. So he sent us two guys, and they worked great. Thank you so much, Mike. That made life go a whole lot better.
Thank you.
Very much so. All right, what else did we learn?
Water beds suck.
Oh, we had a water bed. Yay.
We had a water bed. So what did that mean as far as, well, Lucas, you said water beds aren't cool. So why are water beds not cool?
Because they're cool when you install them, because you don't have to deal with the hassle of taking over. You gotta like drain them and stuff like that, and draining takes forever. That should have been the first thing we did, was like go in that back bedroom if we knew there was a water bed.
Kind of was. It was, because we had to, and then when we found out there was a water bed, it had to be drained. So now let's go hunt the property for a hose. You know.
So what Mary Beth's talking about is whenever you go to do a set out like this, you got to have a strategy. So one of the things that we did was we made a list of things we were going to need. We needed a lot of trash bags, because when you remove people's possessions like that, it's not yours. It's still theirs. You got to remove the possessions from the property and then have a way to be able to tote them out. So we got all kinds of husky trash bags. We went through a lot of them. You also have to take and make sure you got work gloves. You want to make sure you got a hose, which Mary Beth said, because when we got there was a water bed there. And we didn't take a good survey of the scene, because the very first thing we should have did was we should have started draining the water bed first thing, because it took forever for that thing to get through. Whenever we approached the constable and asked him what our time frames look like, he said, you got an hour and a half. We started at 9:30, we got through at 1 o'clock. That's not an hour and a half. The constable was real good to us, though. He did a great job making sure to keep the peace. He also stayed with us the entire time, so that was very, very cool. Some things that I learned during this process is that each county does things differently. And so if you have property in multiple counties, you're going to want to go and talk to the magistrate, talk to the constable, ask them, what do I need to do? How can I help you? Because I want to make sure I'm doing this the way that you like to. There's no harm in asking. They're not going to, give you legal guidance as to what you should do with the tenant and landlord. However, they can tell you how they would like for you to handle yourself once you get there. So that was some things that I learned. We needed to survey the scene, get a game plan once we got there, and say, this is how we need to tackle each individual thing so that we can be efficient. Were we efficient today?
Oh, we were very efficient.
We were very efficient.
We came with 2 trailers, loaded it up. One of the things was to put the individual's property on the curb. And instead of just putting it on the curb and impeding traffic, we put it on the trailers, brought locks for our trailers, locked it up, gave the tenant 24 hours to come get his stuff. After that, it's trash.
This was the first time that we did one where a tenant was in place. I thought this was going to be nerve-wracking. Truthfully, I didn't feel that way, and let me qualify that because we're not heartless landlords. Mary Beth, in particular, went above and beyond on trying to make sure that this guy was taken care of. We had a family member on site to be able to help him get him in a better situation. We called DFACs, we called elder services. We're even sitting there asking, at the very end of it, how can we help this guy? What can we do? And that took away the angst that I thought I was going to have, because hopefully through this whole scenario, he's going to get into a better situation. This particular tenant is at the borderline of dementia and needing help. And so he won't get help because he won't ask for it, but he's needing help. And so through this whole process, we've been able to go and contact the family, be able to help them help him. And I got to tell you, I'm proud of this girl right here for doing that. So, Mary Beth, you rock.
Everybody.
Lucas, you did a great job today. This was a fantastic learning experience. Mike Hicks, I appreciate you taking care of us too. And
Whitfield County, thank you for being there for us.
I agree. Whitfield County, I'm very, very excited. Not very excited. I'm just grateful for the constables and what great job they did. So, we're going to go back and get back to work. Just thought we'd let you know about our experience, and if you have any questions or if we can help y'all out, y'all feel free to reach out to us. You have a great day. Tell them bye. Say more zeal than that, dude. You just got
Many
Longhorn.
blessings to everybody.
All right, so I'm back home, and I've had a chance to really digest on the way home some of the learning lessons that I learned today. So we talked about a little bit about this with the team, about how you need to have ample help. So that was a big deal. Need to have ample trash bags. That's a big deal. We had to make sure we had abilities to be able to get the stuff out of the property and onto the streets. That meant we had to have 2 trailers in order to get the things out there. We also had to be prepared to secure those trailers so that they could sit out there for the 24 hours. Something else that I was not prepared for whatsoever was, I thought whenever we got there, the constable would take the tenant and move them out. I mean, like, take the tenant outside. That's not what happened. The tenant sat there the entire time we were there. We passed back and forth from him. They would say stuff to us, and I wasn't mentally prepared for that. It turned out not to be so bad. Well, I say that. The tenant kind of took a swing at me, and the constable was right there, right on top of it, made sure nothing happened. They were saying some things, and the constable told us, look, just let it roll off of you, be professional, and go to it. And so that's what we did. We were professional. We went to it. The tenant did not make contact with me, and it wasn't really a try to punch me in the mouth type deal. It was more of a type thing. But either way, the constable was there, make sure peace was kept. So I wasn't prepared for that whatsoever. I really thought that, they'd go set them outside and then we go to work. I was not prepared for how long it was going to take. So the constable, whenever we went beforehand, we went and asked Whitfield County, what do we need to prepare for? And they said, you got an hour. And so we're like, okay, we got to get this done in an hour. That's not what happened. We were there from 9:30 all the way until 1 o'clock. The reason why that was important was because, one, I did bring drinks. I didn't bring any food. We were starving by the time this thing got done. And that's important because it was hot today. It was really hot. Y'all saw me sweating out there. Another thing that I learned out of this is that even though you give any firearms that we found in the house, we gave them to the constable. The constable did not confiscate them. That is not what happens. What happens is the constable makes sure they are unloaded and waits until everything's done to give them back to the tenant, because that is the tenant's personal property. They own those guns. They deserve those guns. Those are their property. I wasn't sure how that would play out today, but it felt a little weird that, okay, this person's been here this entire time. They've been cantankerous. As soon as we're walking out the door, here's your guns back. Now, it wasn't quite like that. They made sure that they were unloaded all the way. The ammunition that was found in the house was in a separate place than where the guns were, so it wouldn't have been easily loaded or anything like that. So there was no fear of that. But that was something else that I didn't know. You know, I figured that they would not confiscate them because nothing illegal had been done, but that they would sit them somewhere until it was time for them to come pick them back up or something like that. I had no idea. So that was a big learning lesson. The last thing that I really learned today was that the whole time we've been doing this, we've only done this one time. So we've been landlords for 10 years now, at least. And we've never, ever had to do this. It is a lot easier to try to work with people beforehand. We have done all kinds of things under the sun. We have got moving trucks for people. We have paid them to leave. We said, hey, you know what? If you leave the house clean, we'll give you X amount of dollars. That's always worked real well. Sometimes it doesn't work well. And whenever it comes time for the set out, you just got to get out there, let your emotions not be there, and just go to work. And so we tried and we tried and we tried all kinds of different ways to relocate this person, and it didn't work. And so it is what it is. So it was a very interesting day. It was not what I expected. A lot of learning lessons, and we don't have to go through it again. But anyway, that's what we got out of our first set out, and hope this helps out. Have a great day.